Hello everybody and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with a Hong Kong content review, continuing on with the unofficial and maybe official Lo Pai trilogy, ending off with the Clan of the White Lotus, directed and starring Lo Lei, which plays the Pai Mei sort of version 0.2 in a sense, but I'll get into that in a minute. And this is part of the 88 film edition, Beijing collection. This is spine number 26, and we've got a nice slipcase there. There you go. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the edition if you don't have it. There you go. And you get the booklet, and you also get alternative artwork, which is always really cool. And this is a really fun little trilogy that I've been doing, starting off with the Executions from Shaolin, then going from the Amphlett of the Shaolin movie as well, or aka Slice of Death, which I have reviewed on the channel already. And this concludes it with a sequel/remake of the Executions from Shaolin. And this is definitely a sequel. Whether you want to kind of take it as a literal one or not, or whether kind of an Evil Dead style kind of sequel, being the fact the opening of the film is not the opening of the previous one, but also a very different kind of scenario took place and kind of sets up these characters and these villains to do what they need to do in the film. But the themes and ideas and everything is very much in line of what the Execution from Shaolin kind of started, and definitely concludes it within this entry. Whether you count the kind of Kill Bill movies, that's a whole other thing as well in general. The White Lotus, directed in 1980, directed by Lo Lei, which is the director and course star of the film, playing the returning version 0.2 of Pai Mei, which is chalked up in the film as the original, you might say, of the White Lotus. So basically, he's basically a different character, but he is the original and the first of the Pai Mei. So the idea is the person who they just stopped to the start of the film is the pupil and a kind of like the kind of next in line to take on his role and kind of his skill set, which is an interesting idea. I think it works quite well with the idea of the previous other two movies. You could say they are different people, they could say they're the same person, whatever you want to say, but it's an interesting kind of concept, and I kind of like that. It's a cheating way of keeping the character around and having fun with them at the same time, and having a much more kind of meaner, much more aggressive and different kind of skill set version of the character we've known from the previous two movies, and obviously have a returning actor as well alongside it. Some familiar, which we've already established, which is always quite interesting, while also having the kind of the movement of basically the heart-stopping kind of death movement, which is introduced within the Kill Bill movies.
He hits you with his fingertips at 5 different pressure points on your body, and then lets you walk away. But once you've taken 5 steps, your heart explodes inside your body, and you fall to the floor, dead.
Which Pai Mei teaches, Uma Thurman's character and Bill, of course, and he demonstrates that a few times within the film, this idea of certain combinations within your kind of chest and pressure points, and after 7 moves, you will collapse and just die from basically your heart exploding, essentially, and that's used a few times within the film, which is quite cool. They also change up the film's kind of style and action, and then this film is pure action. This film is straight up like, hey, let's just take the best stuff from the Execution from Shaolin, and let's really make this villain a piece of work. Let's turn up the volume a little bit to 11, and they really demonstrate his skill sets and some fantastic fight sequences going against Gordon Liu, which is fantastic. Being the fact this isn't directed by Kar Hui, he also did a cameo within Execution from Shaolin, and Kar Hui is involved in this film, being the kind of martial arts choreographer in this film, which you can tell because he's definitely having a lot of fun with these kind of action set moments and these giant set pieces. So you've got a lot of kind of familiar kind of cast and some familiar kind of members coming back for this film for a Shaw Brothers kind of independent movie, separate to the others, but also in favor and as a sequel, as a soft remake of Execution from Shaolin. So you've got a lot of kind of the same kind of people kind of crossing over into this one, and you can tell this is a much more straight up kind of action piece from start to finish. There's a lot of cool fights in this, and the way they demonstrate the fights is really interesting. This idea of this continuing theme continuity of the body armor and this pressure points that is also kind of linked into the other two movies. And I like how they demonstrate that this idea of the camera work when he tries to kind of like penetrate and tries to hurt him, it's showing this kind of very unique kind of style, and that's played up and changed up throughout the movie as well. which I really do appreciate. I think it's really awesome, and similar kind of ideas again, with the idea of, you know, a certain pressure point will weaken him and allow him to get a brutal kind of fatal blow to the Pai Mei, or should I say the White Lotus, in this film. And the idea is that his pupil's been killed at the start of the film, and basically by these two kind of brothers, Gordon Liu, and basically he wants revenge. He is, you know, he's the White Lotus clan. He is someone who's very angry with his pupil being killed and being defeated so easily, and basically this idea of the kind of imperial kind of order, in a sense, kind of basically been deceased now. So this idea of kind of the uprising and the kind of the bloodshed and slaughter of all the Shaolin temple monks, basically it's over, it's done, let's finish it, it's over, finished with, and basically there's a bit of a ceasefire on all of that, essentially. Let's like leave it alone, it's done now. Basically with the White Lotus is a separate kind of independent kind of clan, and they want their revenge, they want their pound of flesh, and they go to the kind of locations where the two brothers are basically defeated his pupil, and basically gets involved and basically says, like, you know, I want a piece of you, essentially. And he gives us some smack talk, which is really cool. He definitely is a lot more not only aggressive and much more meaner, but also has a lot more insults, a lot more kind of smack, which I think is really, really funny. And really fun for a villain as well, which he does it throughout the entire film, which is great. And he definitely does some pretty nasty kind of, you know, fights, which is great for the film and great for entertainment value as well. Definitely kind of probably this being a much more kind of tougher opponent compared to before. And the film is very similar to The Execution of Shaolin in the sense of Gordon Liu's character. He loses his son and brother, he loses some of his family members, and he basically has to kind of protect the wife of his brother, essentially, and the unborn child. And this kind of plays into the film, where he has to kind of retrain up, get stronger, and just the similar things where he goes to Pai Mei, White Lotus, challenges him, basically just loses, retreats, learns a different skill set, goes back and fights him again. And that's the kind of the point of the film. It's very similar to The Execution of Shaolin in that regard, but if you focus purely on Gordon Liu's character, where he's having to train harder, and a lot of the film is him basically learning the new skill sets, and then eventually learning how to use the crane style female form to basically get the advantage and to kind of, you know, psych out the White Lotus, while also kind of identifying his weaknesses with the pressure points at the same time with these kind of needles and certain techniques he learns throughout the film, and while also being an uncle and you know, help raising this child and having some kind of wacky characters alongside it for comedic effect alongside, which is pretty cool. While also at the same time you've got Pai Mei and his villainous kind of stuff just doing in the background, having these very luxurious kind of, you know, glorious baths, which is really funny. And there's a really kind of funny confrontation towards the third act of the film where he accuses Gordon Liu being a pee-pee Tom because he attacks him while he's having a bath, which is quite funny. Yeah, Clan of the White Lotus, I think really delivers exactly what the film has to offer. It's a much more 80s version, much more kind of a turn up to 11, purely action-based, mostly from start to finish. You know, these really badass fight sequences, definitely kind of turn the notch up a little bit, while having a pretty simple, nice story. So what are your thoughts and opinions on the Clan of the White Lotus? Please comment down below. Which is your favorite out of the unofficial trilogy, Execution of Shaolin, Amphlett of Shaolin, or the Clan of the White Lotus? Love to know your thoughts and opinions. Please comment down below. What are your thoughts on Pai Mei of the White Lotus villain? Love to know your thoughts and opinions, guys. Please comment down below on that as well. In the meantime, guys, Amphlett Reviews, signing out. Momentum of this character and this villain kind of relationship, which is great.